All right, guys, let's have a conversation around our nutrition and our hydration strategy around our training sessions. So whether we're talking about a run, a ride, a swim, we're looking at an S&C session, we're looking at a multitude of these types of training sessions across the week. What do your current behaviors look like in terms of your nutrition and your hydration? Before we go into supplementation, understanding your electrolyte balance, understanding your kind of carbohydrates per hour, what does your day-to-day nutrition look like? If we were to do a quick food diary across the last 7 days, what would your current behaviors look like? Are you consistent with your main meals, with getting enough macronutrients across the week and across the day? Are we getting good sort of quality snacks in across the board? Are we meeting our caloric kind of needs? These are kind of the baseline key considerations of someone like yourself who wants to train relatively frequently and wants to build on your current levels of fitness. This is what we want to be doing with you straight away. Understand what that baseline looks like. What does your kind of day-to-day routine look like throughout the week? Managing work, family life, commuting, etc., travel. We want to baseline this, get into a nice routine with this, and then we can start to then go, right, now what do we need to be making sure that, what extra do we need to be doing to then start to build more performance? Working with partner companies such as Precision Fuel and Hydration, which we have done at SFE for the last decade plus, you can jump online. You can quickly go work through a quick questionnaire. It will give you a basic kind of readout as to what your sweat rate potentially is and what your kind of basic carbohydrate needs might be per hour. From here, this will give you a nice little baseline as to kind of what you need to start to be aspiring towards. If you are just starting to get going, in the first weeks, months of your training program, you are just starting to kind of explore this. Eat pre and post training session. Get some good whole foods on board. Like making sure that you're hydrating consistently. So you're just getting more of a consistent kind of habit of taking drinks with you on your training sessions. Kind of drinking at least 500 ml to a litre of fluid or water across the space of your training session. Basic kind of needs. As we start to progress, as we start to add more intensity, more volume, more complexity, we're elevating our expectations. We're now starting to double the distance that we're traveling. We will need to be doing more than usual. This is where we can start to bring in supplementation. Understanding that you need to be taking on board 45 to 60 grams per hour of carbohydrate. Understanding that you need to be taking on an electrolyte mix of 500 mils per hour, potentially preloading on these bigger, longer efforts. The standard protocol would be 1500 milligrams of electrolytes in a drink in the hour leading into a key run, a long run. These are some basic kind of standards that you can be meeting. I use a lot of whole meal kind of bars whenever I can. Real meal is currently what I'm using at the moment. We've got chews, we've got gels, we've got the tabs, the salt tablets as well. These are all little things that you look to kind of bring in. Do you do it for every session? No. But it's certainly something that you want to be kind of becoming more versatile in, understanding what the demands are. You're obviously looking to prevent cramp. You're looking to make sure that you've got good gut control. So you're obviously be able to kind of take on food on board in these longer efforts. And this is kind of a self-exploratory kind of mission that we want to be working through. This is something you want to be kind of exploring throughout your training program, and it's because some things work better for some than others. But certainly understanding what this needs to start to look like, understanding that these habits need to start to form as you're kind of within your training sessions, taking on board fluid and fuel throughout a training session, every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, whatever works best for you. Kind of choosing those select moments within a training session where you're actually taking this on board, so you're able to tolerate it and actually take the fluid on board and take the food on board, and continue moving potentially. These are all little behaviors that are trained. You need to be able to kind of you need to be practicing them. Within your S&C sessions, absolutely need to be kind of considering this. Preloading your hydration obviously in those kind of hot conditions. You want to make sure that you are, as we start to push your physiology, we're looking to put a lot more training load through your muscle groups. We want to make sure that your body can tolerate this. We can't afford for your body to be in a dehydrated state, because you're going to be putting a hell of a lot of localized load through your body. So again, just making sure that you're drinking all the way throughout your training session, taking on board some basic electrolyte mix, definitely fueling before a session. Again, for me, it's crackers, it's bananas, it's peanut butter. These are kind of the basic kind of whole meal, whole food snacks that you can take on board. And then obviously making sure that you're after a training session, you're moving into those kind of main meals, whether it's a breakfast, a lunch, or dinner, depends on the timing of the day. But certainly, guys, we need to have these behaviours in place. Some of you, this will be something that is mechanistic to you already. These are routines that you've already established. Are they set in stone? Absolutely not, because they continue to evolve depending on the kind of training program that you're currently on, whether you're building towards a particular type of event, you are currently at a different season. The winter, the summer, like there's different considerations, obviously, in terms of the climate that we're training in. The elevations, the terrains that we're running on, there's always going to be a little bit of a nuance as to how we go about fueling and hydrating. But what I will say is, guys, again, it always comes back to your baseline, your understanding of what your daily routines look like. Some people lean in towards these supplements, the whey proteins and everything else, but yet their main 7 day a week nutrition is intermittent, to say the least. It's very kind of chaotic, and that's never going to serve you well. We want to make sure that we have great energy availability throughout the week. We want to make sure that we're hydrating on a consistent basis, and just taking on board enough quality amounts of water. That is the lowest hanging fruit. So whenever it comes to your nutrition and hydration, these are the kind of key things I want you to be thinking about. And then as we explore it, we can start to individualize this process based around your work life, your family life. But this is all part of an effective, ongoing, sustainable training program. And this is something that we're very kind of proud to do at SFE, and we'll obviously be looking to do with you as we move through your program. Hey guys, any questions, as always, let us know.